It almost feels like, in a way, over the last week or so, things are starting to come together a little bit for this OpTic Chicago squad. So as we go ahead and hop on board here, we are going to be watching Envoy in these scrims today. So the first one, they ran through all the maps against the London Royal Raven squad, which is actually the first time that I have seen that new London squad. And then the second one, which is what we're watching now, was against LA Thieves. But getting back to the previous point just a little bit, Scump and Formal have been playing great. And yesterday, in fact, if you missed yesterday's video, but in yesterday's scrims as a whole, Dashie was playing super well. And I feel like that's maybe the piece that's missing so far, is that Envoy's been playing okay, Scump's been playing good, Formal's been playing good, but we haven't quite seen Dashie put it together yet. And in the upload that I put up yesterday, he ended up going quadruple positive. He was like 36-9 on Moscow Hardpoint. He just controlled the map through each set of rotations, controlled every lane. So he was massive yesterday. And in today's matchups, that's what you're going to see out of Envoy. Envoy was like a walking 45 bomb the entire day. And this one, I don't remember exactly what he was, but he was like 42-15 or something crazy like that. And he's just winning gun battles all over the map that you wouldn't necessarily expect him to win all the time. But right now, as we get into the actual breakdown here, we just went over towards P2. Unfortunately, OpTic did end up losing that spawn. So if you're an OpTic fan, they had that right side of the map spawn, and they just pushed up towards P1 a little bit too much. I think at the end of P1, they had like a 42-9 lead or something. So I guess there's positives and there's negatives there, right? Positives is that they were able to build up 42 points inside that P1 hardpoint, which is just super tough to actually get inside and control and really mount time on that P1 hardpoint. But the bad is that they pushed it a little bit too hard and they ended up losing those back P2 spawns. More than likely what happens, and I think you're going to see this either on the second or the third set of rotations, you'll see it, where Envoy actually gets a streak and they push out the bottom right-hand side of the map as it's rotating from P1 to P2. So when that comes along, when that play comes along, we'll go ahead, we'll pause it, we'll break it down, and we'll say exactly what's happening with that one, because it's basically, I mean, it's like the prototypical way, the best way to break that P2 hold, because when it comes to money hills on this map, P1, P3, P4 are all pretty much contested right in the middle of the map, but P2 and P5, there are some super dominant spawns, and there's only a choke point or two to really get in those hills. So we'll talk a little bit more about P2 and P5 when it comes up. But right now, P4, again, I don't know. I don't love the locations of P1, P3, and P4. I've talked about this a little bit before, but if you wanted to have one in the middle, that would be fine. Like if you wanted P1 to be up in top plane, I think that would be fine. But if that's what you want to have P1 be, then P2, 3, 4, and 5 should be on opposite corners of the map. I don't love the fact that P3 is basically a contested hardpoint. P4 is basically a contested hardpoint, even though in this scrim, like at P3 right there, Chicago did a really nice job of getting time inside of P3, and they're doing a nice job so far of getting time inside of P4. So even though they're making that happen on this set of rotations, it's not really how you always see it go, just because P1, P3, P4 are so centralized to the middle of the map. But here's Envoy. I mean, he's popping off. This is where he gets his streak, just from the spree that he's been on. He didn't get the second one there, but he was able to get the first one, the lightning strike there. So
I'm getting plain.
With this, only 10 seconds left, and something that I've noticed as of late is that teams that don't have these initial spawns for P5, they've been taking a really long flank route, and you can actually see that battle right there. Exactly what you just saw is that. Let's go ahead, let's take this, let's break it down. By the way, I know top left-hand corner, for whatever reason, the first month of the game, I kept calling this crewmate. I know it's checkmate. I just have to change it. But what you really just saw as this P4 hardpoint came to a close, if you're going over towards P5, the dominant spawn is back here behind wood wall. So if you spawn here, you can just come over here and you can hide in each of these locations inside of P5. You could also get people right here inside of wood, and you can watch both of these flank routes as they come through. It really is a dominant hill on this. So what teams have started doing is that in order to push that out, if you were to leave P4 and you were to just run under P3 and try to get into P5, it's not going to happen, right? You are not going to be successful with that route. So what teams are doing now is they're taking a super long flank all the way back here to the top side of the map. And if you can get behind, if you can get in this area right here, once you're there, that's going to close off this spawn. And if you're able to make that happen, then as P5 is up, your enemies are going to spawn all the way out back here. And if you make that happen, they don't really have a choice but to try to run down one of these routes right here or go top plane to top wing and really try to get kills this way. But it is super tough to approach P5 from the right-hand side of the map. So as you really watch this, like you just saw right there as Envoy got a kill on Kenny, as they were leaving P4, they were trying to push that top left-hand side of the map. It's a really long flank, but it's the thing that you have to do, because if you don't go that way, you're not going to flip out that spawn and you're not going to be able to get out time inside of P5. So I just want to make sure that we are breaking it down, because even like, see right now, 100 Thieves is, yeah, or 100 Thieves. LA Thieves was actually inside the P5 hardpoint, but it just didn't matter because they didn't have spawns. So if you're OpTic there, you could afford to just get off of the hill and just make sure that you secured your flank behind back left P5, because if you did that, then there's no way that you could get pushed out. Even if you give up the first few seconds, it is what it is. It's not a big deal. Like right here, it's happening again. LA Thieves are inside of this P5 hardpoint, but they don't have spawns. So you can see right here that what Envoy's doing at the moment is that rather than push over towards P5, he went up towards top plane to really cut off the reserves. And I really like this long flank. I don't know how he got that kill. That was a nasty kill. But as it rotates here, this is probably going to be unsuccessful. I mean, he's on a 7 spree, but trying to flip out from that top-hand side of the map, it just doesn't work very well. What you're going to see, and actually this was the moment that I was talking about earlier, this is how you flip out P2. So let me go ahead, let me pause this one more time and bring up the mini-map, because now that we're inside of P1, you obviously want to try to get these back spawns, and when P2 pops, you're going to have these back spawns over here, but you want to get control of the right-hand side of the map. So what you saw from Envoy is that he got a kill as it was still on P5. He got a kill up in top plane, and then he pushed out. He was able to get a kill in this line of sight here. He got a 2-piece back P2, but it's almost impossible to flip from the top side of the map. You would really have to go on a massive streak in order to get behind and get this flipped out. It just doesn't work from that side. So what does happen is that if you're in P1, you're going to see him here. He's going to run forward. He's going to hide in this corner, and he's going to call his lightning strike. And as soon as that happens, whether you're able to get a kill or 2 kills or whatever, but just from gaining that map control, now you can push out this right-hand side. And once you're back there, when you're in this range right here, if you get to this area of the map and you get a kill or 2 from people that are just kind of sitting back ADOM or back watching this P2 push, you get a kill there. Now all of a sudden you've overtaken that spawn, and your enemies are going to spawn out over here towards P4, and that is a super easy kill, right? Once you're inside of P2, this is a choke point here. They can try running in this no man's land that's right here, but if you want to successfully push out P2, this is the way that you really want to do it. So we're going to hop on board with Envoy right here, and you're going to see that it's going to come in pretty soon. But just kind of talking overall, they've basically got a 100-point lead, and it probably could have been much worse, right? They've got a 100-point lead, and that came with them giving up those initial P2 spawns for the first set of rotations when they spawned on the right-hand side of the map. So they got a 100-point lead. It could have been much worse, but here comes the streaks right here. He gets one.
Dead, nice. I don't know where they are.
And then Dashie actually gets that other one. And now you're going to see them push out this fin area, this back bottom right-hand side of the map. And if there was somebody left, they're calling him out to be in back orange, but there's nobody else back there, because as those kills came in, Dashie was already so far pushed up on the right-hand side of the map that they then blocked off those spawns and the game spawned them out. So it's just a really nice job. I mean, this is probably the best that I've seen them be on this particular map. I know that this is almost over, but I do want you guys to listen in for just a moment. So let's listen into their team comms, and then we'll go through and we'll close up the video. But let's try to get some time and listen to their communication.
You got me. Dude,
This is good. This is good.
Oh, yeah.
No, one could have spawned out. He could have been like before. I'm playing for plane control. I'm playing for plane control.
Donnie,
low left, low, Donnie, left. One bullet. Our low steps, guys. Our low plane steps ran away.
Did he go inside?
He went back to under plane. I spawned it old.
Top plane.
Stairs.
That's Don.
I can kill the guy for it.
Kenny dead.
Nice.
Nice.
Missing for one. There. He was Finn.
Secret.
He's back right.
And wood, Donnie, front wood weak.
Guys.
Front wood weak.
One top plane.
Back right dead. Yo, one
I'll
guy.
see top plane.
Yeah, they flipped the wood. Nice.
To their
Top
back
plane,
steps.
top plane.
To their back steps.
Nice streaking now.
You're dead.
You might want. Yeah, you.
I'll do that.
You can burn one. Yeah, I have one. Burn one.
Bottom hill, Donnie.
On
Take your time. Take your time on the brick right here, guys. Everyone else
Yeah,
kill.
I'm working low.
I got
Donnie
you.
down hill.
Top plane.
I'm jumping our side plane.
I'm playing back left.
It's
I
probably
can
back
get time.
I think top plane. I don't see him. Yo, low plane, TJ. They're low left as well.
I'm in it too.
Low left.
P5.
He's already close.
I got one rotating, guys. Go to new, guys. Just go to new. Oh, we're good. We're just come new. Everyone flood this side. Flood this.
Trying to watch our right.
I have their side. Their side dead.
I don't
Hey, AS&D, left guy, AS&D.
AS&D not hurt. He's going middle. He could go yellow crate. Or do we have street or not? Do we have street? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth.
I'm in the corner.
Yo, under plane.
Teach their side regen.
Slasher, 2 plane challenging. There's 2 there. Matt, you have 3 kills.
I have the cross.
You're crossing you?
Top left wing.
Flood to time.
One shot, Kenny, top lane.
Nice. One's gonna be their side too.
There's 2 there, son.
Their side.
I streaked.
I don't see Kenny.
On time, on me.
I got 1. There's 2 dead, 3 dead.
More top left wing.
And with that right there, 3 go down. I think this is basically the end of the map right here. And they struggled a little bit towards the end, closing it out inside of P3, and eventually it came inside of P4. But right there, you can see the 42 and 15 out of Envoy. If you look at the damage numbers overall, Scump was actually pretty close with 4,700 damage. And then Dashie and Formal were about 1,000 behind him. You look across the board on the opposite side. Again, unfortunately, we can't see kill death, but we can kind of see how people did based on damage. And you can see that the entire LA Thieves roster, the highest was 3,500. So basically every single one of them got outslayed, and that happens sometimes, right? It is what it is. But if you guys are new around here, you enjoy this sort of content, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, leave a like, as it really helps out the channel, and thank you guys so much. We will see you in tomorrow's upload.